What's up? What's up? What happened to our good old brother Jax?
That's
Hopefully
okay. I
not.
think he's trying to get himself together.
Oh my goodness. But hey, listen, it's nobody on here. So I guess we can just give it a quick second, or at least to our good brother Jax get back on here.
I
Good
don't know
brother
what's going
Jax.
on. I don't know what's going on over here. I don't.
The internet. Okay, let me just close.
Listen, the internet is messing up. The
Right.
internet is messing up.
I'm
So,
gonna have to move my camera.
What's going on, guys? What you been up to? What you been watching on TV lately?
well, oh, that part. That's why we had to come on to the live to incorporate our totally naked family to talk about
Look
the
at Jack.
election.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
Jax is on again. You know, y'all, we might have to continue to talk with our brother Jax. I know he's coming back.
Hopefully I'll pop back on.
He coming back. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are your hosts of Totally Naked. I am Dominique, and we have April, Jax, and Dante. And we are jumping on tonight as a surprise, really a surprise, I think maybe to all of us because we're a little tired. We are a little regular degular tonight, and it's all good in the hood. We wanted to pull up in the chat room to talk about the election and all that it comes with this year. Okay, because we got Corona. Okay, we have social injustice. Okay, and now we got this election, and I'm just on pins and needles. I have a little bit of anxiety. Uh, Today is November the 4th, and the election was November the 3rd, and there's no president elect. I'm feeling like this today. Okay. However, I understand that there's more emotions than just feeling a little anxious about this thing. We have excitement. We have a little bit of worry that could come along with it as well. And we kind of just want to unpack it because instead of us talking about it behind the closed doors, we could talk about it with you. So, somebody, anybody, tell me, how do you feel about this election? Like, why is this election so important to y'all? Why are you guys sitting on the edge of your couch and beds glued to the TV?
Ladies first.
What? I just knew you was ready. Well, okay. So yesterday, since Dominique already said something, yesterday morning, I actually got in my prayer closet. This is before the election. This is before anything happened, and I was just in prayer and started to speak to God about my heart because I woke up with. I don't want to say that it's anxiety because anxiety is fear, but I did wake up with a heart that was concerned about what this election could where we could end up as a country, and just reflecting on how we ended up in this place of such anticipation for having a presidency. Hopefully, for my heart was saying that it would switch, and how I honestly was just thinking. I was like, man, I remember thinking a while back that there was a time when I feel like we dropped the ball when it came to some of the laws that were created. And that after Martin Luther King passed away or was assassinated, that our men were locked up, African American men were locked up in an enormous amounts. And that really there was no leader to follow through with some of the heartbeat behind us being desegregated as African Americans, and that the ball essentially was dropped after the 60s. And so then we go into the 70s. We're segregated and we're trying to get these Jim Crow laws abolished. And how, essentially when I was born, I was able to partake of affirmative action in some places, and then also just be able to live a pretty normal life. But I didn't expect in 2020 or 2016 and 2017 for that ball to be picked back up, so to speak, in society, and that the anxiety that may have been felt by my predecessors or family members when they were growing up in the 60s and growing up in the 50s, what they may have felt, that I may be feeling some of that anxiety about government and people that I live with maybe not liking me because of the color of my skin, and having a problem with me assimilating or becoming a productive citizen. So I don't know. I had a myriad of emotions that I went through, and I actually just journaled it. But then, with praying to God spoke to me in my prayer, and he's like, look, April, he was like, one, had we not had the experience of first Barack Obama, that would show that some people just really are not okay with, change at that level, that we would not have had this new government or this new or where people would actually be able to show the deep rooted things that the fabric of what America had been years ago, a stain that was in the American fabric that needed to be exposed. I think that we had it covered up, but God wanted us to be able to expose it, so maybe we can really get to true healing. That's what I felt like God was saying in my prayer time. And so that's a long-winded answer, but I was going through that in my head yesterday as I was like contemplating what's about to happen with the election. And now, here we are and still waiting to see if there's going to be a change of power.
Well, since Dante said ladies first, I'll go next. So this election is important. I think more so because we are living just clearly in unprecedented times, right? We are dealing with a global pandemic. We are dealing with, we are not just now dealing with social injustice. I think that the magnifying glass on social injustice in this year, on top of the fact that, our country's leadership is not in the way that I believe it should go. I guess that's just the best way to say it. This is the best way to say it. Okay. But I think that, understanding that this is a very important election because of so many different things that we as a country and globally are facing with, even though, our president, the global president, I feel that, excited. I am excited. Something has to change. Like, so much has happened this year that regardless of whoever is in the office, and hopefully sooner than later, we'll find out who that person is going to be. But whoever that person is, something got to change. Things will change. Cannot continue to be the same, regardless, no matter how many threats are being made, no matter how many fears or woes that are out there. But some things we do know is things will change. And that's just the period. And I think that for me, I'm excited for the change. I will say that I am definitely counting back to 10 on this thing as I patiently wait on the edge of my bed. Now, last night though, sister was asleep. I said I can't be messed up with y'all. I got to work. Okay, I got to go to bed.
You were not alone.
I was not playing. I think I was asleep by 8 o'clock. After the first hour of the local news, my 1 hour was like this. I was like, I can't.
Oh wow.
I will find out either we're gonna find out tonight and y'all gonna call my phone, my whole phone gonna wake me up, or I'm gonna be sleeping peacefully because we ain't gonna know. And I slept peacefully because we don't know. Okay, so but that's it. That's why I think it's important, and that's how I feel about it. I'll toss the ball.
Well, my thing is mm, to piggyback off of what you were saying, I don't sleep well when the returns and everything are coming in, only because I am not anxious, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm more of I enjoy the process. I enjoy the rhetoric on some of the news stations and everything going back and forth. Um, I'm a big fan of when the elections and everything take place and how everything is going to pan out. As far as it being important and there being a change and all of that, I don't want to sound selfish, but I already know either way, him, he's gonna be okay.
Uh-huh.
He's just gonna flourish and be okay regardless of who's in power, because I mean, I think it's important, but it's not. It's the results aren't going to like overtake my life and make my personal life change much.
But why is
Personally,
that important? But why is it not important though?
I didn't say it wasn't important. I did.
No,
I did say
not
it wasn't important.
important in the bad way. But I'm just saying, like, because I'm thinking, me and you about to be on the same
Oh
wavelength.
well,
Like, so
because
are you saying that you're not
because
concerned?
well, I am concerned, but it's like I know who ultimately holds us. So it's not a big. I mean, it's an issue. It is a historic
It
issue
is
and
an
all of that.
issue.
But it's not a make or break me type issue. Does that make sense?
No, I'm with
Like
you
I'm not
because
gonna
that's
have
exactly how I
warfare
feel
going
about
on.
it too. Because
Yeah,
regardless, I think I get you do get that nervousness because of the natural aspect in that thing.
right,
Because at
right,
the end of the day, this is the land that we live in. I mean, you
right,
can't
right,
escape that. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that we are visiting. Okay,
right,
we are not governed, and we are not living our lives under the reign of the
right,
power and authority of solely the United States of America. We
right.
understand who puts people in power, and that includes the person who's sitting in office today.
Correct.
Period. And we have to be able to rest in God's word, and rest in his promises, and resting in the fact that he got our back. Period.
Right, right. And going back to what April said, I think that she was talking about the stain of the United States and everything. The thing is, a lot of the stuff that I've seen recently on social media is because we have social media, number one, but it's like one of those things that you kind of know people feel. It's been much more overt over the last few years because people seem okay with saying and doing certain things, and it's something that, again, I think I've heard about those things in the past, but since I personally haven't experienced, a lot of issues like that, um, it's like, wow, y'all getting real comfortable with being being disrespected and not being able to get hit in the face for it. Is that bad? I'm sorry.
Like people
Well,
are emboldened
at least
right now. Like there's an atmosphere and a climate for you
sometimes
to be prideful. And because I was talking to my aunt about this too, there was a time where people could be mean to you and be okay with it. And I think that climate, not that it's at that level when she was growing up back in the 60s, or 50s, but I think that there is some level of comfort with me being to be disrespectful. Like I'm okay with coughing in people's faces and not thinking that, yeah, like that's a problem. Like, because before there was a time where people could yell at you and push you around. And as an African American, I don't want to sound like, I definitely don't want people that's watching, because I have friends from all races and backgrounds who I love dearly, and I will fight tooth and nail for them, love them, going to their house, watching their kids, all that. Okay, so I'm not a racist, but I do realize where my history is, and that there was a time where people that did not look like me were didn't like me because of the color of my skin, or didn't like African Americans because of their color of their skin, or were threatened, or had pride. And so what I'm saying is what my aunt was saying is that there was a time where she would walk in a store and feel uncomfortable and someone be mean to her and talk down to her. And not saying that people are just doing it because you are Black right now, but there is this climate that's happening right now where people feel emboldened that they can say what they want to say. They could try to run over a bus and not be reprimanded for it or go to jail for it and bully people like they did before. And I think that was what I was reflecting on. Not that I was stewing in that, but I was reflecting on that. I hope I didn't jump on your stuff, Jax.
No, absolutely not. No, you good.
Yeah.
My brother.
Yeah. Dante, you're the one who follows politics for a hobby.
I know.
I'm kind of thinking you would have had a lot to say already.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to hear it.
So the first thing that I want to say is that I did make the horrible mistake of staying up extremely late last night to follow the polls. That's something that I probably will never do for any other election unless it's my own. But because I regretted it, I was sitting in my office this morning nodding off. That's not good, because I had a lot of work I had to get done, and I was just like, like in and out. So first mistake. But transparently speaking, I think we have to be really pragmatic. I always talk about being pragmatic and really seeing seeing things for really what they are. I think that, if Biden is elected, I think that's a win. The country does need a change for the better. However, my real focus is not necessarily on Biden being elected as it is, just a real call for peace and civility in our country. Right. There's never been a time in recent history, or in our history that I can see in any instance where there was peace with any election, or just in society, period. I obviously am assured and aware that if Biden wins, there will be an uprising. If Trump wins, there will be an uprising. But my position, still stands. I would love to see this country move in a direction where I obviously, realistically thinking, there may not be unity on the onset, but I do pray that there's a peaceful transition of power. And as our, founders, our forefathers instructed or outlined for us. And then secondly, there's general peace that is just, contagiously received or exhibited and seen all across this nation. I think that, we've gone 3 years, almost 4 years now, talking about Trump and getting him out and the impeachment and the hearings and this, that, and the third. And so now we're at this point. And I really do think, even if you look at where we are now, what the numbers are saying, we still, have some underlying issues that some pollsters, I personally don't follow polls because polls are always subject to change. And you'll note that even in this current election, what we thought was going to be the result, which is why we're still counting ballots. A lot of people thought that, white women, educated and suburban women were going to support Trump generally, and they did not. Support Biden, and they did not. They voted for Trump in the majority. Honestly, had it not been for the Black vote, statistically, you'd see that Biden would be way further. Trump would basically be winning. He would have won the election. And so for me, I think understanding the importance of the Black vote, raises a concern too for me politically, and also in terms of me being a part of the Black community. Politically, I'll say this and then I'll pass it on. Politically, I think that the country has to understand that there's power in this Black community. When it's time for us to vote, we vote. When we don't like something that's happening in the world, we speak out. May not be consistently, which is something that we need to work towards. But the government has to understand that the Black voice is a very powerful voice in present day America. I think also in terms of being Black in America, being a Black male in America, I am proud to see the numbers that are coming in of African Americans and minorities who turned out to vote in this current election. I will say that our government should take note of where we are in terms of the election and or how much we've turned out in terms of the election, and make a commitment to addressing the issues of racism and underpaid work that's being done by minorities in this country, and that's not being respected. I do think that our government needs to take note and understand how effective and influential the Black vote is and how the Black community is. Overall, obviously I make no apologies about it. I do support Joseph Robinette Biden. Always have. My position has not changed. But I will say this. The thing for me is not the election, because, this man gets 4 years. It ain't too much he can really, 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 really do in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if the Senate, if the Senate, if you look at it where we are now, if Biden wins, which it looks like that's what may happen, he still has to go up against a Republican Senate. If you can recall back in 2012 when Obama was elected for his second term, as opposed to his first term, when he was able to do a lot because he had power in both the House and the Senate, Congress and the Senate, he wasn't able to do as much in his second term because of the Republican majority Senate. And so that's what we're up against with Biden right now. So I do think it will be an uphill battle, but what my major concern is that for the people out here that are voting or that are watching and listening to us, it's my hope and prayer that you all won't just go back into your hiding places or everyday lives after we find out the results of this election. Instead, I do hope that you will continue to advocate and stand up for and protest peacefully and march and vote, and serve in your respective communities, because I think in terms of us uniting this nation or coming together, it's going to take all of us. And I think we put too much pressure on the president and on the government to do everything when we have a part to play in it as well.
I agree. And my sentiments as well to how we should, have our perspective on whomever is the winner. Whomever is the winner, at the end of the day, we need to know that the Lord our God is with us. If He is for us, who can be against us?
I want to go to what Dante said, because he tried to slide something in there, and I want to make sure that it's heard, because what I heard was, number one, Blacks do have some political power and influence when it comes to politics. Mm-hmm. And two, Dante Buckman is going to be on the ballot in 2024, because he said at the beginning,
2024
because he said at the beginning that he would, it has to be him, right?
Maybe one day.
If he's on the ballot, right.
I got to stop drinking wine, and then maybe I could run for something.
There's nothing wrong with that.
People who have had alcoholism plenty.
Listen, I can't.
Yeah, but I think that when you talk about God being on the throne, Dom, and even when we talk about African Americans vote, I think that there is a part for everybody to whatever your views were that brought you to the polls to vote for who you voted for, whether it's for the Senate or for congressmen, women, and or the presidency, that we like do have a due diligence to, one, respect the government, because they are what God, that's what we have here on in this earthly realm, but to be able to speak to them in their rightful, I guess, in their hierarchy. And so there's a way to communicate to them, to hold them accountable for the things that brought you to the voting polls to elect them. And so whoever's elected, if whether they're in your district or if they're the congressman, like, we need to write to them, like, and hold them accountable for some of those things. I think that, I don't know if Joe Biden's going to win, but if Joe Biden does win, and we realize that there has been a lot of issue with the social injustice, that's just one particular area. There's a lot of things that are also there on the ballot, environmental stuff. I think that we just need to make sure that our voice is heard, not necessarily only with protests, but writing to them, going to the congressmen and women's offices, and calling down there, and actually, letting them know the grievances that you have or the issues that you have. These governmental people are here to serve the people. And so I think a lot of times we do an election and then hands off. And or when something that we don't agree with, then maybe we say, no, we can't stand for this. But I think that if there is a shift in power, we definitely need to hold them accountable for changing those laws, calling down there and make them be responsible in their roles. That's how I feel.
I 100% agree, and I love the way you articulated it, because there are a lot of us who, after we cast our vote, we think that that's the end of it, and we think that we just going to let other people handle it, and that is not how government works. As you said, they are servants, and my thing is, and I think I've said this on the show before, I am definitely one of those people who will call a congressman. I am definitely one of those people who, because that's how change happens, and I don't mind, because, well, you're a servant, so you need to pick up the phone. I'm gonna leave 10,000 messages because I need an issue rectified. Am I looking at it wrong? Because I know a lot of people that they'll cast their vote and they'll be hands off, and they'll handle it. No, I'm gonna definitely have some influence on it, because because we're all in this thing trying to work it out together, right?
Yeah, you're thinking about it the right way.
Right. Well, for the congressmen and Senate, you got 2 years to get it right, and if you don't, then you're like, that's not a position you just get to sit in. Like, and I think that's something not right. We love the people that serve with the right heart, and God calls us. I need us to be clear on this too, that whoever is the president or whoever's in office, the police, whoever, in Romans, I believe it's Romans 13, God tells us that we are to respect those who are in government and those who are in high authority over us. We are to respect them, and that we won't have issue, prayerfully, we should not have issue if we are doing and abiding by the laws. But at the same time, these people, we need to make sure that they hear our voice and realize that if you're in that position, you don't just get to be in that position, not in the United States. That's what democracy is. We say that this is a democratic society here in the United States, and we're going to, and if you're not doing your job, then you don't need to stay there. Because truly, like I was saying, that there were issues that were in the fabric of our country for centuries. Okay. Absolutely. And at this point in juncture, yes, we did not address some of those things that needed to be addressed after the 60s. But right now, I think that there is hurt in our country and in many areas, and racism is something that has been there, deep-rooted, deep-seated, that needed to be exposed. And with it being exposed, it could be healed. We don't have to live in this racism the way it is. And people, I think that we have we as Christians, we're gonna have to be praying as well, because I do think that this isn't just one of those silent battles right now. I think it's been exposed, it's out there, and we got some work to do as a country.
Now,
whoever that
I'm,
is.
I'm gonna treat this like a regular Totally Naked show. So my thing is, you definitely said, you know, you need to respect those that are in authority. Now, the definition of respect is a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something, elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. Because I 100% think that you are right. But my thing is, I think that a lot of people, especially in the African American community, when they think of respect, they think of, you know, you got to show, you know, your parents respect. I mean, don't challenge them, don't talk back to them, don't. And that's not what this is. You still need to bring up your issues. You still need to make sure that you have a voice. You still need to make sure that you aren't staying in your place, but you're actually speaking out on things that offend you, or that that you think need to be looked at. Respect isn't being silent. I just want, I think that you're right. I just want the people to realize that when we say respect, yes, you need to respect them. You're not going by the office throwing bricks to windows and all that kind of stuff, but you still need to make sure that in a professional, nonviolent way, that you're still speaking out and making sure that your voices are being heard.
Right.
And I agree.
And I'm in agreement with that too.
I agree totally. Well, I mean, what else can we say? We have dropped in on you to share a few things that we thought, but in good, true, totally naked fashion, we're just going to leave you with some things to shift your perspective. Number one, no matter how this election turns out, we are good because we trust in a God who never changes, who promised to never leave us nor forsake us, and that he shall take care of all of our needs. Secondly, now that we have voted and we're waiting for the new president-elect, we realize that our job is not done. That we will continue to pay attention to what's happening in our local areas, that we will continue to be involved in our local communities, and that we will indeed ensure that our voices are heard on election day of our local, state, and local city, state government elections. Because remember, the ones who represent the state, you know, in our Senate and in our House of Representatives, those are the people who speak for us. So if we're not doing our due diligence and voting the right people in to take those seats, then our voices are not being heard, and we're back on the perpetual cycle that we have been on. We love you to life. We will connect with you all on the next episode. And until that time, have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night, guys. Bye.